delighted to have an opportunity today to visit with two people who are, through their personal lives and their philosophy and through their professional practice, having a profound impact on how the people they come in contact with live their lives and look to their future. With me are Dr. Stephen Covey, celebrated author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and other significant works, and President Daryl Kruger of Winona State University. President Kruger, Dr. Covey, welcome. Good to be here with you. I'd like to visit with you first, Dr. Covey, a little bit about Dr. Covey the man and then Dr. Covey the mission. Before coming here this morning, I had a chance to look over some of your history. I'd like to read a few lines to you, and then I'd like to have you react to them for me if you would. Dr. Stephen Covey, co-founder, co-chairman of the largest management and leadership development organization in the world. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of the 2 most influential business books of the 20th century, and its companion audio tape, first nonfiction audio in history to sell over 1 million copies in the United States. First Things First is the best-selling time management book ever. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families ranked 4th on the New York Times list. And you have declared, Dr. Covey, that principle-centered living and principle-centered leadership is your life's work. You've received numerous awards, honors, degrees. In 1998, you received the International Man of Peace Award, the 1994 International Entrepreneur of the Year Award, Inc. Magazine's Services Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and in 1966, the National Entrepreneur of the Year Lifetime Achievement Award for Entrepreneurial Leadership. You've also been named as one of Time Magazine's 25 most influential Americans, and one of Sales and Marketing Management's top 25 power brokers. How does that make you feel?
Well, I feel humbled by it and grateful, but also I feel increasingly committed to the mission.
Tell us a little bit about Dr. Covey, the mission.
Basically, it's to deal with principles that are timeless, never change, that are also universal. They transcend geography, culture. They belong to all of the major world religions. And they're self-evident. They're as self-evident as you can't ever have trust without trustworthiness. So they're universal principles. And to try to advance those principles into all institutions, societies, organizations, families, individuals is what the mission is.
Dr. Covey, in light of this mission, when did you first sense the calling to this mission?
Well, I don't know. As a kid, I was very involved in athletics, and then I had deteriorated bone situation in both legs, went on crutches for several years, and it shifted me totally from athletics to academics. And then I served a mission for the Mormon Church, and my mission president, after I was there for a while, asked me to train leaders. And I couldn't believe that I could do such a thing, but he had that kind of vision in his mind about my abilities that I didn't feel, but I really got so turned on with the idea of actually teaching principles to leaders.
There's an awful lot going on in the world today. What's your appraisal of current affairs, Dr. Covey, and what is the role of leadership in times like this?
I literally think it's the greatest single need. I'll tell you why. It is the enabling art to all other arts. Everything that takes place requires leadership. For instance, education. The purpose of education is to help people, contribute and cope with life and so forth. Well, what if you don't have good leadership? You won't get good education. The purpose of healthcare is to help people get better. But what if you don't have good leadership? You won't have good healthcare. It is the key to all other professions, to all arts. And what's happened is it has become a management issue. You manage things, you lead people. But people have come to believe that you manage people like you do things. And it is totally disempowered people. And culture and institutions have been filled with interpersonal, departmental breakdown and skepticism and turfism and all this politics and hidden agendas. But fundamentally, it comes from the individual and from their family and the family situation. So I think it has to go from an inside-out approach with the individual and the family, and then in all of the contributions which that individual and family try to make in life.
President Kruger, you were personally and Winona State University as an institution early adopters of Covey philosophy and principles. What impact has this had on the institution?
Well, I've tried to live a principle-centered life all my life, and have tried to deepen myself in the universals and to try to understand them. And I am come to recognize that trustworthiness was the most important for an individual person to have, to be trustworthy, and then to build that trust in the organization, and at the organizational level to have it aligned around some common fundamental principles that will guide and direct deeply the institution. And when I thought I would try to do is to build that confidence and trust in the university. And I think people ask me what has changed most at the university, what am I most proud of? I am most proud of the working relationships that we've built with the various constituency groups. For example, our students voted a 9% tuition increase on themselves this year. The faculty and staff are cutting $1 million out of the institution. This was done around the fundamental core principles of the university, and because there is a common trust there that allowed us to do this.
Dr. Covey, after you hear this story, this report that Dr. Kruger has given you about what's going on at Winona State University, what is your reaction to that?
I am totally amazed at the culture that has been created at Winona. I'm serious. Because anytime you get the kind of situation that President Kruger just talked about, where students themselves, through interactive, synergistic discussion, actually vote this kind of a tuition increase, tells you that they have bought into the problem and they're going to be part of the solution. It's one of the greatest needs there is in all universities and also organizations. How do you get the culture behind the principles so that people actually trust each other, trust the different elements inside the institution enough to have this kind of synergistic result? I am honestly amazed at what's taken place.
Dr. Kruger, you have a 12-year history of involvement with and commitment to Dr. Covey, his principles and philosophy, and have accomplished a lot. When you look forward from today's vantage point, what do you see? Is this the end, or is this the beginning?
We're on the beginning steps of this because we have just now taken the step where we can talk about it very openly and discuss these principles, where other people are recognizing this for our success. And we're hoping that we'll bring other institutions into the culture so that they will start implementing within the state. I'm hoping that the whole region will start implementing principle-centered leadership.
I think the reason is because it's so pragmatic. It's producing these kinds of fruits. That's what gets other people's attention. Otherwise, a lot of people from the outside will say, oh, it's kind of a lot of theoretical, idealistic material. It's not until you produce fruits that you actually see something that people say, hey, I want to look at this. This is real. I mean, this is not just a bunch of nice words. They really have something happening here, and they're becoming a model and a mentoring institution to other institutions in their state and in their community. I mean, that is an amazing thing.
Last year we reached capacity of our freshman class on February 10th. This year we reached capacity on January 15th. So we are in demand. We're in high demand as an institution. And partly I think it is because when people come, they can feel a difference when they arrive on campus.
Dr. Covey and President Kruger, each of you have shared an awful lot and have an awful lot in common and are very committed and very active in what you do, each in your own lives, each in your own way. Do you believe that you're having an impact on the world?
Well, the fruits the President has been talking about here in so many ways. I think that people have to come to realize that these are principles that they already know in their own heart. They really do know them. I often use this watch as a kind of symbol of what I teach. Here is a normal watch governing time. Underneath it is a compass. This compass gives a person a sense of direction. It gives a person a sense of true north or natural laws that ultimately govern the consequences of everything that we do. If you can get a culture of people who through their own involvement discover the wisdom in their own heart, that's why I don't like taking any credit for this at all. These are principles that are universal. They're timeless. I didn't invent them at all. I just helped kind of package them in a sequence of a private victory leading to public victories. But they are universal, timeless principles. And if you can get a whole culture with a sense of what north is, of what is right, what builds trust, how to improve your enrollment, how to improve the quality of your offerings, the quality of the faculty-student interaction, faculty-to-faculty interaction, how to get a sense of mission at the university about what they can do for other universities, other colleges, everywhere. See, this is what excites people, is a mission that is bigger than themselves. It gives them courage. It is the true joy in life, someone said, to be engaged in a purpose known by yourself to be a mighty one. That's what Winona is about.
Dr. Kruger, what motivated you initially to take the Covey approach at Winona State University?
We hoped that we would be able to help all the schools in our area, high schools in all of the upper Midwest. And we thought one of the ways we could do that is to help these students understand 7 habits of highly effective people and highly effective teens. And if we were able to teach this material, then it would be a spread like wildfire throughout these schools, and there would be a greater sense of purpose and direction in these high schools. And of course, Winona State would be an instrument in helping this happen.
And your reaction to this initiative?
Well, to me it's exciting because they have become a model. They have become, and not only that, but they are mentoring. That is, they're actually helping other people come to the same understanding, the same principles. And these are universal principles, so that this could be carried out like a wildfire throughout this country. The great need in this country is for models, for mentors.
Dr. Covey, as you know, Winona State has inaugurated the Leadership Institute for high school students. You have an opportunity to send them a message at the beginning of the Institute. What is that message?
Believe in yourself and your own power to make choices. You are not a function of your past or how other people define you. You are a function of your own power to make choices. Make choices based on what is most important to you, what matters most to you. And in all your relationships, always think mutual benefit, mutual understanding. We call it win-win. See, even the language itself seems to be like a lodestone that gets people to think in terms of what is mutually beneficial, what builds mutual understanding. Then synergy, that is the creation of new alternatives, always are the product of those kinds of foundations. And that's where the real excitement and the wealth and the productivity lies, is you create something that isn't in him, it isn't in me, it's between us, see? What's the relationship, the quality of that relationship? I'm seeking his interest, he's seeking my interest, and we create a third interest that is higher and better than what either one of us could possibly have thought about.
In his teachings about first things first, he says that relationships are the most important, always the most important thing. And if we could get this concept understood so that parents would understand that they're not doing the dishes, but they're building relationships or raising children, and that's more important than getting a project done.
With economic times being as they are, Dr. Kruger and Dr. Covey, what is your advice as citizens are making decisions about supportive education, both at Winona State and other institutions of learning?
Scarcity is a false paradigm. There may be scarce physical resources, but the power of intellectual talent, of social capital, will produce a kind of multiplying effect that is truly synergistic, where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So I renunciate the concept of scarcity altogether. I believe in the abundance mentality. We get deeply involved in the problem together, that we can create solutions that are better than what anyone has come up to the present position. And so I think that We have to move from scarcity to abundance thinking, particularly in difficult times. See, we're not a product of our conditions, we're a product of our own decisions. That is foundational to this whole thing.
Can I read between the lines then that you would say that we need to redouble our efforts to support and invest in our educational programs?
Absolutely, because that is an investment in that one resource, that one asset that can multiply itself more than any other possible resource.
Dr. Kruger, your thoughts on this important topic?
Well, education is fundamental to being able to improve the society that we live in. And if we're not engaged in improvement, then where are we going to go? We're going to fall back. And if we use fundamental principles as a means of engaging each other in the discussion, then we're going to elevate that discussion to a higher level, and we're going to be focusing in on the right things rather than on the wrong things. And we should therefore focus in on these principles, our principles, as a guiding force in our lives.
Dr. Kruger, Dr. Covey, we've covered an awful lot of ground in our conversation. Dr. Covey, there may be things that you'd like to say that I haven't asked you about. Do you have an additional message for us?
I would say this, that it all begins with the individual and with the family unit. No society has ever survived the breakup of the family. Then, if you can get a family that has a sense of mission in contributing to other families and to other young people that otherwise may not have a chance because of terrible upbringing or mentoring, you've created a real sense of cascading missions or goals throughout a society. I literally believe we could solve 90+% of all the social problems if we could get enough families deeply committed to developing a principle-centered mission statement that serves other families and serves the community. Winona is a very good illustration of an institution that is claiming to do that and is doing that and is producing the fruits that shows it is doing it.
Any concluding thoughts, Dr. Kruger?
I'm terrified at the possibilities of undermining the core principles and values in our society and in education. And I hope that we will be engaged in a higher discussion and focus in on what are the core things that we really believe, unchangeable universals that we really need to adopt in our lives and to practice.
We've had a rare moment to spend time with two people who are having an impact on society. Dr. Stephen Covey, Dr. Darrell Kruger, president of the university. These people, through their efforts, through their beliefs, and through their joint efforts, where they're coming together with a common cause, coming together with a common vision of the future, are pooling their efforts, pooling their power to bring about a change in the world. We thank each of you for spending time with us today.